Well, surprise, surprise, Barack Obama cannot just retire in quiet. He's out there giving speeches, undoubtedly speeches that mean he's somehow gotten himself in trouble with Michelle Obama, speeches that are talking about woman power and women are the best and women this and women that. And it got me thinking, culture. What is culture? Where's our culture going? What is our culture telling boys? Before we get to that, here's the former president of the United States of America, Barack Obama, quote, "If you look at the world and look at the problems, it's usually old people, usually men, not getting out of the way." Oh gosh, here we go. Yes, it's old men. That's the real problem with society today. Oh, he went on. It got worse from there. Quote, "I'm absolutely confident that for 2 years, if every nation on earth was run by women, you would see a significant improvement across the board on just about everything, living standards and outcomes," end quote. Well, let's set aside the obvious stupid pandering and the obvious fact that he's wrong about all those things. Let's take a step back and get a little bit broader with this. You hear the term culture war all the time. We're in a culture war. There's a culture war. What about the culture war? What about our culture? What is culture? No one really wants to talk about what it means. Well, a culture is simply this. Each society decides on a set of values. They do. You can act like, well, I mean, anything goes. It's just freedom. That's our culture. That's not true. Societies have cultures. Societies have certain carrots and sticks where they lead their citizens to go. These can be really good ones. These can be really bad ones. It totally depends on the period of time. It totally depends on what your interpretation of good and bad is. But nevertheless, you cannot discount culture. Culture is what your kids see, what your kids see everywhere they go, what your kids see when they turn on the television set, what your kids hear when they turn on music, what your kids are learning in school when they're away from you for 7-8 hours a day, what your kids are learning from their friends, what your kids are learning from their toys, from their books, from their parents, from their church, from their little league. Culture is everything around you. It is everything you're consuming at all times. And knowing that now, what is culture telling boys? What is our culture telling girls? American culture in 2019 has taken a very distinct, odd direction. I would call it an absolutely horrible direction, and that direction is simply this. We hate boys. We want boys to become girls. And no, I don't just mean that in the literal sense of the word, although if a boy were to turn himself into a woman, he would undoubtedly be celebrated. In fact, he'd probably get a spot on Good Morning America, like that other drag kit, where they'd be clapping like little seals about the poor child who's been destroyed by his parents. No, I'm talking about we want to take boys and their mannerisms and their emotions, and we want to turn them into women. On top of that, we pretend as if women are these all saintly beings. They're angels. You see, men are all these stupid, immoral, dumb, ignorant buffoons that, gosh, I just can't get out of bed in the morning without my wife there to help me tie my shoes. And women are, of course, these saintly, wonderful angels. They've never made any mistakes before. In fact, you heard it from the man himself. Only women should be in charge, and all the world's problems would be solved. What a bunch of crap. You don't have to look hard, ladies and gentlemen. When's the last time you saw a comic book out there or any kind of children's book called Empowering Boys? Let me save you the trouble. You haven't seen it. Nevertheless, we have them out there, empowering women, girl power, bunch of superheroes. When's the last time you saw, we're going to do international aid to help boys, to push boys along, to help boys learn how to go from being boys to becoming men, good men, strong men? You don't see that much, do you? You see it all over the place. Again, when you turn on the television set, it's everywhere. Not just movies. You know, every movie has to have a set number of women, and of course the women better be the leaders and the guy better be the evil scumbag. No, we're talking about, this is something that's been ingrained in our society for years. I believe the show The Simpsons has been running for 30 years. Who was the main character of The Simpsons? Oh, it's the oafish moron Homer Simpson. And look, I like The Simpsons. I'm not singling them out specifically. I enjoy The Simpsons as much as the next man, but they're just simply one of a million different examples I could choose from. Look at every single nightly sitcom. What's the family dad? Ah, look at the idiot. We better wait till mom's home so we can get some leadership and guidance. Men really suck. It's all over the place. It's everywhere you see. It's in our schools. It's all over the place. There was an article out just recently, I believe it was yesterday, in the Atlantic titled "The Miseducation of the American Boy." And in it, she very eloquently goes down the list, and boys are too rough. Boys are too violent. Boys need more girl toys and more gay friends. That's what boys need in America. She lays it out very clearly in the article. Well, that's a culture, ladies and gentlemen. That is a barrage. It's not just affecting children, it's affecting adult men, and that men and boys think they're supposed to become more like women. You're not. You're supposed to become a strong man. You're supposed to become a protector. You're supposed to become a leader. That's what you're supposed to do in a society as a man. Yes, it's fine if you want to express some emotion now and then, but we don't have to constantly beat into the heads of our young boys that, well, I mean, you need to be more in touch with your feelings. Let's go have a tea party with all the girls. No, he's a boy. He should be out with sticks and balls and getting muddy and getting bloody. That's part of what boys do. We do this in school. We see it all the time. I believe the great Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time. Our education system is 100% geared towards girls. You get 20 minutes of recess and 7 hours of sitting in class, and you better make sure you're this. Don't move around or don't get too rambunctious. Somebody call the pharmacist. Let's get this kid on drugs. He just moved around too much. People, being a boy, being a man is a wonderful thing. Societies need men as much as they need women. Yes, both are important. This is not about being anti-women. Women should be treasured. Women should be protected at all times. Love your wives, your sisters, your moms, your grandma. Yes, of course. Hold doors open for them. Treat them like queens. But the man is not supposed to be some helpless, oafish, beta, weakling of a man, some doormat who has to prostrate himself before the almighty woman and ask her for permission if he can go to the store and get a 6-pack of beer. That is not what our society is supposed to be. That's not what any successful society will ever be. And so when I see crap like this, it drives me nuts. And look, I gave you 4 or 5 examples. The show is only an hour long. I could fill up a week's worth of shows never going off the air with example after example after example on what our culture has become. And what our culture has become is telling boys, telling men that what they are, what their basic biology is, the way God made them, is wrong.